Hi there, this is Steve Martin of Agility Guides, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about resilience and its importance for nearly every aspect of your life, both personally and professionally. Now, for context, in another video, I talk about conflict and conflict styles. Well, coming out of conflict, especially if it's a negative conflict, there can be quite some pretty high impacts that can be quite, detrimental if not resolved. And this is where resilience comes in. Now, resilience is more than just simply coming out the other side, dealing with a negative or stressful situation that ranges from just merely unpleasant to truly traumatic. Now, for example, you could have conflicts with a colleague, a boss, an executive, your customers, a family member, and my favorite, people who have no business commenting on your things, but they do. Now, of course, your reactions to these stressors can vary. And of course, if there's any trauma involved, please do seek professional help. But just dealing with any of these negative situations is just simply coping. Now, while coping might get you through the day, the week, the month, there could be some lingering overhead that can really cause some resistance or some inertia to overcome, especially not if, but when another stressor comes along. And there is so much change going on. This could also be a stressor. Now, resilience, again, is not just only coming out the other side, but coming out the other side better. Now, here's an example. Have you ever heard someone tell you, hey, you can't do that, or just give you some negative feedback without any tangible explanation? I'll tell you, I've heard more no's in my life, and bless your hearts, than I care to share. Now, if I were to let those get to me, I would just say, okay, I'll go back to what I was doing. There would be no improvement. There would be no innovation. Now, I don't know about you, but when someone tells me no, or that's a crazy idea, I like to say, okay, watch me. I experiment more. I try new things. I look at the problems, challenges, or opportunities in just a different way. I learn, I grow. Now, it is entirely possible that I'm going to fail multiple times trying again, trying those new things, but that's okay. This is where innovation comes from. And this is what I mean by resilience, coming out the other side just better. Now, here's something really interesting. In an article published by Positive Psychology, they assert that resilience is a skill that can be learned. Now, while there can be bias in any article or any source, I actually happen to believe this as well, that resilience can be learned over time. Now, the analogy that they give on their website is, akin to learning the guitar. No, you will not be good when you pick up that guitar the first time and you start. But as you practice over time, you can become better. Now, one approach I like to use to build that resilience comes from Deborah Serani, a clinical psychologist, and she called it the 4-factor approach. So let me go over this briefly with you. Now, that first factor is stating the facts. Now, when things are emotional, it can be really hard to think logically or clearly. So state those facts. Really understand the facts of the situation. Second, place blame where it belongs. Of course, you can and should take ownership of a mistake or a situation, but don't unnecessarily beat yourself up for it. Third, you're going to look at the situation again, but this time, I want you to do it from a positive point of view from the situation or something to be grateful for. For instance, is everybody okay? Is the company, the team, the project still intact? And fourth, give yourself time. You need time to heal. Don't expect it to resolve today. Now, I do like to add a 5th step, though, to Dr. Serani's model, and it's this, the feedback loop. We need to recognize that we can be triggered again, and this has happened to me on many occasions, sometimes later in the day, and sometimes years later. So when this happens, giving ourselves the permission just to stop, just pause, go back to step 1, go back to the facts, do that again. So, here are just some thoughts on resilience. Don't just cope. Come back stronger. That's how you will keep your competitive advantage.